Because this is the first SAU 39 board meeting after the March election. As superintendent, I'm going to call this board meeting on April 24th at 6 p.m. to order. As people know, in this meeting, the superintendent opens the meeting and facilitates the election of a board chair. Once the board chair is elected, the gavel, if you will, is turned over to the chair to facilitate the remaining board positions and the rest of the meeting. With that said, I'd like to begin by asking for nominations for the chair of the SAU 39 board for the 25-26 school year.
I nominate Christy Peters to be our chair.
I'll second.
Okay,
I'd like to
All right,
just make a statement. I appreciate your running really efficient meetings. And one thing I've learned is if you don't come to these meetings with you as chair and you don't have your A game, sorry. And I think that's a good way to operate. So I encourage you to do that. And my inspiration would be when you know the information, share it with us so we can come as prepared as possible. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Chris.
all right, so we had a first, quick second, a statement. Do you accept?
I will accept.
All right. So with that said, are there any other nominations for chair of the SAU 39 board? All right, so if you're willing to accept,
We still have to vote.
yeah, I know. Tough crowd here. All right, so,
There is a member on Zoom that I'm moving over.
okay, so we will have to do roll call.
Ask him to make sure he's.
No, he's here. Raj.
If you could pass
Yes,
that.
we did. Look at him. It's a pretty cool room.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Ken, Raj, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Apologize for having a little trouble getting into the Zoom here. I unfortunately have circumstances that require me to be remote today, and I am alone.
Thank you. Raj, as you came in, did you hear a nomination of Christy Peters for board chair, SAU 39 board chair? Were you there for that part?
Yes, I did hear that. Thank you.
Okay, so right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a roll call vote. We'll start with you to nominate Christy Peters as SAU 39 board chair.
I'm in favor of that. Yes, Raj Gupta in favor.
All right, Brian, we'll start with you.
Move yes. White, yes.
Fritz, yes. Manning, yes.
Peters, yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
Keith, yes.
Beam, yes. Run, yes.
Stogan, yes.
Eckhoff, yes. Glover, yes.
Rogers, yes. Amber, yes.
All right. Congratulations, I think.
I would check the chair and then out of hands. All right, we'll move right along and start with nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Jason White.
Okay.
Didn't go to Catholic school, did you? Sorry.
All right. If we can get permission, I'll proceed with this one.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Glover has nominated Jason White. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Fritz. Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Terry Bean.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there are multiple seconds. I think I heard Mr. Manning. Any other nominations for the position of vice chair? And Mr. White, if you are elected, would you be willing and able to serve?
No.
Okay, so Mr. White has not accepted the nomination that I asked. Ms. Bean, if elected, would you be willing and able to serve? Yes. All right, any other nominations for vice chair? Seeing none, nominations are closed, and we will begin a roll call vote with Mr. Gupta.
Raj.
Sorry, I just was looking at something else there. Christine, could you repeat yourself, please?
Oh, we have one nomination for vice chair.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Okay,
Gupta,
okay.
yeah, Gupta, yes, sorry.
All right, and then Mr. Gould.
Gould, yes. White, yes.
Fritz, yes. Manning, yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
Keith, yes.
Oh, Peters, yes. Beam, yes.
Run, yes.
Stover, yes.
Eckhoff, yes.
Glover, yes.
Rogers, yes. Amber, yes.
All right, with that said, welcome. If you'd like me to sit here.
That should be like in camera range now too.
No, these owls capture everyone, so you can actually sit anywhere for that. We'll follow with the office of secretary.
I'd like to nominate Leaf Amber. He's willing to serve.
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Ms. Gasquin. Are there any other nominations for secretary? And perhaps we'll ask Mr. Amber if he is willing and able to serve.
Yeah.
Okay. Last call, anyone else? Okay, seeing no other nominations, the office, nominations for office of secretary are closed. And we will begin a roll call vote again with you, Raj.
Gupta, yes.
Cool, yes.
White, yes.
Fritz, yes.
Man, yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
Keith, yes.
Peters, yes.
Beam, yes. Run, yes.
Stover, yes.
Eckhoff, yes.
Glover, yes.
Rogers, yes. Amber, yes.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Amber. You're welcome to sit here if you'd like. All right, and then we move on to the appointment of our district treasurer and deputy treasurer.
CJ Butler.
Yes, I'm just making sure you've checked that they would like to continue that. And so for district treasurer, that is CJ Butler. Okay, and so we'd like approval, we approval.
Nominate. You would just appoint her and you would vote to appoint.
Okay, thank you, Amy. We're going to vote to approve CJ Butler as district treasurer.
Gupta, yes.
Cool, yes.
White, yes.
Fritz, yes.
Man, yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
Keith, yes.
Peters, yes.
Beam, yes. Run, yes.
Stover, yes.
Eckhoff, yes.
Glover, yes.
Rogers, yes. Amber, yes.
All right, and then we will move into the deputy treasurer, appointment of deputy treasurer Peg Bennett. Mr. Gupta,
Gupta, yes.
Cool, yes.
White, yes.
Fritz, yes.
Man, yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
Keith, yes.
Peters, yes.
Beam, yes. Run, yes.
Stover, yes.
Eckhoff, yes.
Glover, yes.
Rogers, yes. Amber, yes.
All right, and then would you continue on with committees or we circle back to that?
I think.
Oh, we need that. We need the manifest.
Oh, yes, I was gonna do it. I was just wondering if we did it after, our public input. We'll just go right to it. We're looking for 2 volunteers for the manifest and 2 alternates.
I've been doing it.
Is that what I do for Mount Vernon?
It is.
I'd be willing to do
All
that.
right, so Mr. Stokinger is willing,
I'm happy to continue.
Ms. Beam is willing. Are there anyone who would be willing to be an alternate?
Be an alternate.
Okay, Ms. Gascoigne. And Mr. Manning. That was very reluctant. sort of.
I was going to offer the training, but you all know, but it is on May 15th. You'll get an invite. You can respectfully decline, which is fine. It's really for the new members.
Can I just ask a quick question? So I received the manifest for today, like this
Yeah.
afternoon it came out. You want me to approve that?
Yeah.
And then the next one?
Yes,
go out?
yeah. Yeah, it's still set up with the old signers.
All right,
Thank you very
professional.
much.
Professional Development Committee, we need 1 plus an alternate, and it is a 2-year term. So you can't leave.
Is the last person in their, have they finished their 2 years?
It was Jess and she's on.
Oh, that, okay.
All right, Steph, professional development and an alternate. I could be the alternate for professional development.
It's actually kind of fun.
So it's great. I love professional development. Moving on to RSEC. There is room for 1 committee member and 1 alternate.
I'm happy to continue.
All right, Ms. Bean will continue with RSEC and an alternate.
I can be an alternate.
Okay,
Since we're familiar.
Perfect. All right, so Ms. Grund as the alternate. Wellness Committee,
Yes, please.
Mr. Glover will continue with wellness and 1 alternate.
I'm happy to be the alternate for the moment.
Ms. Gasquin as the alternate. You need me to slow down?
Yeah, hold on one second.
Schedule on that.
We're just gonna fill in the names, make sure we got everything correct.
So one second, who's the professional development member?
Stephanie, and then I am the alternate.
Gotcha,
Our sec is Terry with Stephanie as the alternate.
got that.
Wellness is John with Shannon as the alternate.
And the meeting schedule, on that, it's going to be looked at, that and the professional development committee has made some transitions at the SAU.
Mhm.
And then as we, kind of narrow our priorities and kind of hone in on what the outcomes for each of those committees will be for 25, 26. But, it was kind of monthly, but then, ended up being kind of quarterly, so it's not a heavy lift.
And the last one on our list for tonight, right now, is the Long-Term Planning Committee, which is a member from each school board and one at-large member. I would like your permission to continue as the at-large member. And I would like to suggest that we move the other 3 appointments to your individual boards so that you can have the time to consider that. And then the committee will meet once all 3 boards have met and selected a member. All good? Okay. All right, then, as you know, we've had some ongoing conversation around virtual comment. No. Oh, we did not affirm the agenda ahead. Do we need a roll call vote to affirm the agenda?
Please.
All right, we would like a motion to affirm the agenda.
Gupta,
Ms.
yes.
Grund?
Motion, sorry, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have to get the motion first this time. I know I've been.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Grund has made the motion to affirm the agenda and Mr. Gupta has seconded the motion. And I think he's ready to vote.
Well, could we have just a brief discussion?
Yes, you may have a brief
It's a new
discussion.
item. Never seen it
Absolutely.
before. I'm just curious the rationale behind it. I mean, it is what it is. We affirm it. We're sort of bound by it once it's published, right? For public notice purposes. Isn't that sort of inherent?
In some practices, you can make some additions and subtractions to the agenda the day of. And so like, if you would come in here, we did that, we don't do that in SAU 39 or in the individual districts. But, usually paired with the affirmation of the agenda is it's just a section for subtractions and deletions in case there's something that needs to be. And then what this does is allows people to agree on the agenda for the evening and keep the conversation directly connected to the agenda.
So there would be a time during this affirmation process to make a modification to the agenda as a concept?
We have not decided to do that. This affirmation for this piece is for us to affirm the agenda and keep the conversation around the topics on the agenda. That's the purpose of the affirmation section here. Want to add?
Okay,
Yes, Ms. Gaskin.
So, Mr. Glover, just to share how we've done it at Amherst, because we've done this a couple of times now, we're really using this affirmation period as an opportunity to clarify any items for board members on the agenda as well. So before we set out to make sure we're all agreed on the scope and kind of organization of what we're going to talk about for the evening, just to clarify, like, oh, I saw this agenda item, like, is it this or whatever? Like, so a moment of clarification and then the agenda.
I'm not standing in opposition of it. I just was trying to think through the logic of it and I wasn't quite getting there. So I appreciate the viewpoints.
Any other discussion? Okay, with that, let's move the question for Mr. Gupta.
Gupta, yes.
Yes.
White, yes.
But yes.
Yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
Keith, yes.
Peters, yes.
Beam, yes.
Brenda.
Storage, yes.
Eckhoff, yes.
Glover, yes.
Rogers, yes. Amber, yes.
And so now I'll move into my short 2-minute sentence speech here, 2-sentence speech. We have had, as you know, a situation come up with virtual comment, and we've been in our individual boards talking through the path forward. And I believe there is a recommendation to continue with the status quo. Amherst has, I believe, already voted to go ahead and do that. And I will let Mr. Barry speak to that if you would like.
Yeah, no, after the incident in March, we did an in-depth review of Zoom and we had a little bit of a training for ourselves to organize how we interact with attendees versus panelists. And we've recognized that we can quickly shut down Zoom pretty quickly and we can limit the interruption. And so we support maintaining virtual public comment in our current procedures at this time. So we had to take a look at it.
So I would like to entertain a motion, but we'll have discussion if people want to talk about that before we go ahead.
Or just 2 points of discussion.
Will you make the motion first?
Most gonna vote to do nothing.
I mean,
We don't.
I mean, we never did anything.
Motion to do nothing.
Good point.
To stop
The
it.
motion to do nothing is a little bit redundant, but thank you. Well
I'll move to
taken.
do nothing.
In other boards, there was a
Yes.
motion made, yes,
Correct.
exactly. So we didn't do that here because we didn't need to.
Right. Which is, I'm so happy that you found a solution because I think it's really important for our community to be able to participate virtually. So bravo. Thank you very, very much.
Now, it does make us an outlier of 2 out of 41 SAUs that I've contacted that do it, but we thought it was a value of this community, so we chose to continue on with this. So, all right, yep.
All right. So that said, we will now open for public comment here and online.
I will withdraw my motion to do nothing.
Thank you for withdrawing that motion. You're good. And so please come state your name. Is it 2 minutes or 3 minutes? 3 minutes. 3 minutes, Mr. SAU.
Yes, you got it.
I know.
Good evening. My name is Dan Bayou, I'm from Colonel Wilkins Road in Amherst. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Just to introduce myself first, I served 2 years on the Sauhegan Advisory Finance Committee, including 1 year as chair, and 3 years on the Sauhegan Cooperative School Board. I'm currently serving my 3rd term as a state representative for the town of Amherst, representing Hillsborough County, Hillsborough District 34. As you know, the community has been considering the replacement of the Wilkins Elementary School building for several years. This effort is part of the decades-long attempt to modernize our school facilities and align them with evolving educational goals, student needs, and demographic trends. I'm here tonight to introduce a report I've been working on informally for the past 3 years. It's an independent analysis that draws on data from the past 4 master schedules, district enrollment forecast, census data, state birth rates, regional migration patterns, and insights formed by my experience in state government, among a myriad of other sources. Earlier versions of this work formed the basis of presentations I made to the SAU board in 2022 and 2023. And I've shared earlier, less comprehensive versions with the SAU administration in the past. But tonight is the first time I'm making it available to the broader public. My hope is that this report can serve as a foundation for a full feasibility study, one that makes good use of the time we have over the next few months, addresses many of the outstanding questions as possible, contributes to a more informed and constructive public conversation by providing objective analysis and hopefully dispelling many myths and misconceptions. This report includes a recap of longstanding challenges, pain points that span more than 25 years, along with detailed analysis of enrollment and capacity across the district. The intent isn't to relitigate the past, but to provide the context in which public perception is formed. The path forward starts with transparency and a willingness to learn from prior experience, not with assigning blame. One section of the report examines the potential of relocating 7th and 8th grades to the high school campus as a way to alleviate pressure on the lower grades. This isn't presented as the answer, but rather as one of the few viable options that has never been seriously analyzed over the past few years. Nearly every other configuration, new construction, additions, and grade reconfigurations has been studied at some point. This one is not. Given the scale and cost of what's being proposed, we owe it to the community to explore all viable options and not summarily rule them out. This report doesn't make a final recommendation. It simply asks that we keep the door open long enough to fully evaluate a potentially effective solution. The report at over 70 pages is too long, didn't read in the current format, but concise summaries and extracts will be made available in the coming days. Appreciate your time. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Almeida and I'm an Amherst resident. Here tonight to urge all of you to reconsider the shift towards separate building and grounds committees for Amherst and Sohegan, and instead reestablish a unified joint facilities committee for the entire SAU. Recent events surrounding the Wilkins project have highlighted the significant challenges our districts face. The current more fragmented approach presents significant risks. Relying solely on individual district committees can lead to insular decision-making, confirmation bias, and potentially deepen the erosion of community trust that has plagued recent facility efforts. Our schools do not operate in isolation. Because our schools do not operate in isolation, decisions made about one building inevitably impact others across the SAU, whether through enrollment shifts, shared resources, or capital planning priorities. We face interconnected challenges, declining enrollment trends, significant deferred maintenance across multiple campuses, and the need to optimize existing spaces like the underutilized capacity at Sohegan, including the annex. Addressing these complex issues effectively requires a coordinated SAU-wide perspective, not separate conversations happening in silos. A joint committee, much like the former JFAC, provides the essential centralized forum required for a truly holistic planning across our interconnected school system. Ensures that crucial maintenance projects, potential grade reconfigurations, and overarching long-term capital plans are evaluated not in isolation, but with comprehensive understanding of the needs and impacts affecting all our schools and students, spanning from Amherst Elementary facilities and Mount Vernon's Village School, right up to Sohegan High School. Importantly, working together helps forge a shared vision, building the consensus necessary for robust plans that can earn community support. Furthermore, a joint committee offers a significantly more equitable platform for addressing the needs and concerns of all partner districts, particularly acknowledging Mount Vernon's position of tuitioning students to AMS while being a cooperative partner at Sohegan, showing their voices heard directly in facility decisions impacting their students daily. The repeated failure of the Wilkins project underscores that major facility initiatives cannot succeed without broad community trust and a comprehensive, transparent planning process. Retreating into separate committees risks repeating past mistakes, potentially creating groupthink rather than genuine buy-in. Rebuilding trust requires demonstrating a commitment to collaboration and open dialogue that includes all stakeholders. Therefore, I strongly urge the SAU 39 Joint Board to formally reestablish a joint facilities committee, bringing together representatives from Amherst, Mount Vernon, and Sohegan. Reestablishing this committee is the most effective path forward towards responsible, efficient, and trusted stewardship of our shared educational infrastructure for the benefit of all students and taxpayers across the SAU. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Almeida. At this time, if there are any participants online that wish to take part in public comment, please raise your hand.
No hands up presently.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the first public comment. There will be another opportunity for the public to address the board later this evening. Okay, now we'll move to our consent agenda, which is quite light. It is just the draft minutes from February 20th.
I'll make the motion to approve the February 20th draft amendments as presented.
Okay, motion made by Shannon Gascoigne. I'll second. And seconded by Ms. Grund. Is there any discussion about the minutes from February 20th? Seeing none. Mr. Gupta.
Gupta, yes.
Will abstain.
White, yes. Is there a motion to accept it?
Yes, Ms. Gascoigne made it and seconded by Ms. Grund.
Fritz, yes. Abstain?
Gascoigne, yes.
Yes.
Peters, yes. Beam, yes.
Brown, yes.
Stover, abstain.
Eckhoff, yes.
Glover, yes.
All right, we received two reports, the treasurer's report and enrollment data. All hearts clear. Okay, we'll move into board correspondence.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Yes,
forgot to, I had something on the enrollment data.
his heart was not clear. Mr. Glover.
We just waited here. I just wanted to note, and we'll get the long discussion about it, but PDF page 5 is the real projections. And it's gone down since the last report. As an example, that's the 7 through 12, 10-year mark, used to be 1188, now it's 1122. So I'm not sure exactly what's driving that, but you know, we aren't seeing any material increase in the next 10 years from this report, and that's been a consistent theme over the past year, so that's what this data says to me. So I don't know if anyone wants to provide their own commentary on that, but that's what I picked up in this, and I wanted to share it with the other members and the public.
Correspondence. I believe that is referring to emails received by all members of the board.
Correct.
And I give that over to you too.
Yeah, so as we reorganized after in March, we put on the agenda a standing section of board correspondence. Some boards, all boards get emails from the public sent to the entire board, and what we want to do is if we get a board correspondence that needs to be, put into a folder and keep, we actually do that. We would do the same here. It's very unlikely that we get a joint board, like where it's attached to all three boards. But if we did, we would put it in a folder, and if it was a theme and significance, we would talk about it here. But it's rare that that happens, but it's a placeholder on the agenda, like the other three districts.
Hey, are any of you aware of email that we have all received? I am not aware of any, so, all right.
For the SAU.
Do you want that over here though?
I think this is for board
This is
correspondence for the
board correspondence for the
SAU.
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 So we'll move into our committee updates.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to.
Oh, sorry, board chair updates. Good for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so, are you gonna start with them?
Yes, let's go.
I didn't mean to have a sidebar over here, I apologize. Yeah, so a lot has happened since we last gathered in February. We had our organizational meeting on March 27th. I'll serve the role of chair this year. Mr. White will serve as vice chair, Mr. Gould as secretary. We establish our committees and liaisons. I won't go through all of them, but I do want to highlight just a couple of the larger lifts this year in terms of time commitments and urgency. Mr. Gould and Mr. White will serve on negotiations this year. We have two associations to meet at the bargaining table. Ms. Beam and Dr. Fritz will serve on the Building and Grounds Committee, and I will serve on policy with Ms. Beam. Our March meeting also served as a public hearing where we approved expenditures of up to $115,000 from the capital reserve for maintenance items at Clark and AMS. We also voted to accept and expend unanticipated revenue into the special revenue fund, which came from grants. The board approved the expenditure of up to $5,000 for the district to satisfy a large number of right to know requests that are currently in the queue. We approved the final 2025-2026 school calendar, which represents the culmination of changes in the most recently negotiated CBA. So we have an increase of 1 student day, a decrease of four early release days. And these changes resulted in an increase of 16 instructional hours. We approved a packet of policies, which we previously had a first read of at this meeting. We held an off-cycle meeting on the morning of April 9th to approve a slate of professional nominations at AMS. We also approved the hiring season memo. We welcome Officer Kyle Cordero as our new SRO at AMS and Clark Wilkins as Officer Sarah moves on to serve students here at Sauhegan High School. We'll be appointing new members to our Building and Grounds Committee at our May meeting. And our administrators and educators continue to focus their professional development time around the framework goals, focusing heavily on literacy at Clark Wilkins, grading and assessment at AMS. At AMS and Clark Wilkins, students participated in Title I Spring Forward programming, focusing on math and literacy efforts. So the schools are collecting data on those interventions to assess the effectiveness. Transition activities are planned at all of our schools, and numerous opportunities have taken place for students who will be making transitions to interact with students and educators at the middle and high school. Hats off, Superintendent Barry, to your administration teams at all the schools throughout SAU 39 for this work. We saw students from AMS and Sauhegan High School reading at Clark and Mount Vernon Village School. This past week, our 4th graders and middle school students recently had an author visit at the high school. Our AMS Jazz Band, which is phenomenal and very large, had an opportunity to participate in the Sauhegan High School Jazz Night along with the Milford and middle and high school bands, which was just a nice collaboration between all the schools. As Dr. Fritz was mentioning earlier, we did receive some correspondence to our board regarding support for maintaining the current start times. After-school clubs at Clark Wilkins and Amherst Middle School are thriving. Notably, the AMS Theater Club gave multiple packed house performances of Elf Jr. recently. And finally, we are very proud of all the students at Clark Wilkins who participated in the annual Invention Convention competition. Several members of our board served as judges here in our local competition, and 4 of our Clark Wilkins students are advancing from regionals to nationals in Dearborn, Michigan, the first week of June. So we wish them luck, and I promised you all my future updates won't be this long, but February was a while ago. So thank you for entertaining all of that. Lots of good things happening.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Gascoigne? All right, Mr. Eckhoff.
I have to follow that. So with egg on my face, I apologize to the fellow board members and especially my board. I did not craft out an official report for tonight. So I'm going to give you highlights. Our last meeting was on the 10th. We had a really full agenda. We nominated and organized. I was reelected as board chair. Mr. Amber was elected as vice chair. And we also did all of our committees. We had to follow up and close some loops that we didn't get done on the first side of nominations. So we did all that. Sorry. Roger Preston came up at our request and gave us a very in-depth facilities report. Our building is very good shape, but we also have our hit list and our project list that we budget for. We're on track. We're having some tree work done and some other minor things done, but overall, it was a good report. And again, our school continues to be in very solid condition and shape. And Roger and our staff up at Mount Vernon do a great job. So we're very proud of that. We also had a report and a visit from Mike Kadire, the assistant principal for the upper levels of the middle school, for our annual update on programs and procedures that are in place for the transition of our 6th grade students into AMS. A couple of years ago, we had asked for the staff at AMS to lean in a little bit. We felt there was some concern about some gaps. Those have been closed substantially, and Michael did a very nice job and a great presentation. And from all indications, that transition process is going very smoothly for our kids. We're very pleased with that. And it was great to see Michael in our building. So, and then the last presentation we had was by Mr. Chamberlain regarding a day in the life of a Mount Vernon middle schooler. And very in-depth, a lot of time, a lot of energy by Steve and the team at SAU. So we thank them for that. In regards to what the preliminary picture would look like of what a student's day looks like right now, going to AMS, and what it would look like if we do decide to build and keep 7 and 8 at Mount Vernon. So it's basically a side-by-side. Again, it's very in-depth. Steve, is that posted someplace that somebody, if they wanted to, they could click in and?
I'm sure Chelsea, but I'll follow up in case. I'm sure
Okay.
Chelsea.
But thanks to Steve for that and an excellent presentation. At our next meeting, our tentative plan is to invite open house per se for K through 2 or 3.
Yeah, we're working on some dates. We've got a little conflict to work through. I'll get with you on that.
We're trying to loop in the parental group that would be first impacted if this project were to continue down the road. You know, that's on it. Yes, we're gonna do it, but we're just trying to put all the Lego pieces together to come up with the final. So, and I think that is about it from the Mount Vernon up on the hill. So thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Eckhoff?
Just one, who are your policy members? Or anyone remembers? Are you on that again?
Yeah, it's myself and you.
You got, and Peter?
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome.
So Peter?
Do you guys have a timeline for when you're gonna be making decisions on some of the things you're considering?
Not anything firm.
Or is just kind of ongoing discussions?
So we do have to come back to the Amherst board by October.
Okay.
To be able to confirm or not that we're going to continue for another 5 years with the current agreement. Because it was broken up from a 10-year agreement to a 5-year agreement. So it's not like we have to decide to go forward or not with the project by then, but we do need to decide if we're going to communicate to the Amherst board that we want to continue the current agreement or not.
Okay.
By then.
Thanks.
So we're gonna try to get a lot of decision making, a lot of discovery done before then. Even if we can't get all the way there.
Fair, thanks. Ms. Grant?
Sure. So I just want to welcome our 2 new board members, Jim Manning, who's here, and welcome back. But and Raj Gupta, who is on Zoom with us, and also James Strozier and Stephen O'Keefe, who were on the re-election. So, well, actually, your first election, correct, because he was appointed before. So we welcome them. We organized, I'm the chair, Jim Manning is vice chair, and James is our secretary. Community Council gave us an update. And what we just found, they just chose their new moderator, who is Owen Kaczynski. And they're working on their other executive positions now. There's going to be a notice put out shortly of looking for new community members for community council for next year. We appoint them in the spring, so they can start right away in the fall with training and everything with the rest of the board. So that announcement will be going out probably this week. I think Chelsea was going to help with that. We're also looking for members for our building and grounds committee. I know that announcement went out already. In March, we had a writing program presentation. So, many people are aware that we added a 1 semester writing class. And there was a pretty thorough discussion at our March school board meeting. I would say go watch that, because I'm not going to try and give you all the data, but it's really good. It was in depth. They talked about the strengths of what they're seeing from the kids, the weaknesses, and modifying the program as they go. So it's exciting to hear. We had a science presentation in our April meeting, and they talked about a 5-year plan of work and improvement, and with 10 different points for continued growth. They gave us the science SAS scores, which showed great improvement. We had 43 students opt out last year and only 2 opt out this year. It improved from a 44% proficient to 60% in proficiency in 1 year. So they're looking to continue to grow that and do better every single year. They also pointed out that we have 30 STEM New Hampshire scholars in process and 16 these require extra science classes in order to get this designation upon graduation. We have over 100 students in 2 courses of science, 35 students in 3 courses of science, 2 in 4 courses of science this year. And there are 5 students that are doing advanced ELO programs. So it's a very big part of Sohegan's programming here. So we thank them for all their hard work. I do want to point out that our kids just took the SAT test, and they have the AP exams coming up right after spring break. And in May, we're doing a presentation on our math program. So you can see we're kind of consistently going through each of our areas and trying to understand the work being done and how we can support that work in our budgets going forward. We're continuing to look at our science lab renovations, and last couple of things, we're proud of our robotics team. We had a great spring musical, jazz night, performing arts showcase coming up on May 7th. We have a spring concert coming up on May 14th. There's lots of sports happening: lacrosse, tennis, baseball, softball. You can see them going on. We have prom coming up, senior project presentations. Please look out for those if you can come in and see any of the senior projects. Those are always a great thing to see that our graduates are doing each year. And then, of course, we have senior boards night and graduation, June 13th. That's what's going on.
Any questions for Ms. Grant? All right, thank you everyone for your reports. Now we'll move to the committee updates. I'm not sure if your committee has met since February, but if you have, we'll go around. The Brick School Maintenance and Improvement Committee.
We have not met, but we do have this
We
meeting.
soon will be.
Yeah, it's on the
May 20th. Yes. It's in my calendar. So Ms. Beam and I believe, are still serving Brick School Maintenance. So District Wellness. I don't believe has met since
Nothing.
our last, and so hopefully will soon. RSEC. Oh, sorry. RSEC, I don't think anything new with it. Okay, and long-term planning has not met due to the elections. We'll reorganize and get back to you shortly. Any committees I've missed?
So I don't know, if this is the appropriate time for this or not, but I just wanted to float something, and it actually speaks to, what one of our public commenters mentioned tonight, the formation of, or resurrecting some sort of joint facilities committee, like a mechanism. So there's planning happening across all of our districts, and it really reminds me of 2018, when the formation of the original Joint Facilities Advisory Committee happened. We were at a crossroads at that time, and we're, I don't want to say we're still there, but we're definitely there right now. And the way that it worked was there were multiple subcommittees of JFAC that provided reports, recommendations. They were presented at SAU board meetings regularly, and I think that was really beneficial at the time because it allowed all of the boards to hear the same thing at the same time and ask their questions together. Over the past few years, the process has felt disjointed without that. And so I think having a designated representative from this board to kind of shepherd that or oversee that, I don't want to be that person, but I just wanted to put it out there to the group. I think it would really benefit all of our districts and help streamline communication and collaboration. So maybe this is the time, maybe it isn't. It's a committee, so I thought I would mention it and put it out there. So if there's interest in discussing, I'd be happy to make a motion to establish the structure. But
Can I speak to that for a second?
Sure.
Following this meeting, I had going to have some conversations with Christie as the SAU chair, or whoever was the chair on that mechanism. I was waiting as a superintendent to this, group met, elected a chair, because I know there's an interest to creating that mechanism. So I know there's a need, but I want to be really thoughtful and intentional on what that looks like. And I just want to say that to everyone in this room. I will say it is disjointed. I will say there are clandestine meetings happening without the knowledge of the superintendent around the work that's going to be created for the superintendent. So I would absolutely like to be involved in the conversation of that mechanism. And I think there is a need. But I think being thoughtful and intentional as we think about what that looks like would be beneficial to this group.
Would you be okay with that being added as an agenda item to the next SAU
oh, yeah,
meeting?
I wanted to bring it up here so the body could talk about it and
I don't think anyone would be opposed
decide
to
how to
that
move forward.
idea, and we could come with some ideas a little more filled out and ready to present.
I do want to add one thing, if I may. The whole reason why JFAC collapsed is because it became such a single focused committee of building a new elementary school or working on the elementary school. And as we moved along that process, the town of Mount Vernon had very little or really no need to participate in that process. And so JFAC then fractured and became the Amherst Building Committee. And so whatever we reconstruct, resurrect, bring back, it has to be focused on how all three districts will be impacted from a building perspective. And it can't just become one building project. Because I'll be blunt, it was kind of a waste of time for Mount Vernon to participate in that committee, because it just went down this path that, please don't take this the wrong way, but what does Mount Vernon care about a fourth grade classroom at the local school? I think back to one of the projects, we invited the Amherst community to come up to Mount Vernon and tuition your students up to Mount Vernon. We had capacity, we had room, and we were confronted with rather negative responses. And so it kind of closed the door from that perspective, and then we continued down that path. So whatever we reconstruct or create and draft, it's got to be something that's more cohesive between both communities and addresses issues of both communities. And it can't be just the elementary school. It can't be moving seventh and eighth grade into the annex. It can't be, oh my goodness, what's gonna go on with the Mount Vernon Village School? Has to be something more defined, more specific than that.
I'll get Mr. Dr. Fritz.
Yeah, I want to echo some of the things that was just said, from a perspective, it's a, while any joint committee should have those focused things that have a joint interest, there still is a need for district building and grounds types of bodies. So, for example, if a particular building that already exists needs some kind of maintenance or project to investigate some upgrade that would not have an impact to the joint group, that should not be a distracting item on the JFAC agenda, but it would be useful to have that at a district-wide agenda. So I just think that would be a suitable way to break this down. So moving forward, if we're going on the next, what's time look like here, Mike? If we have an item on our next SAU meeting to create some group, do we need to have district meetings to somehow appoint members to that group? Or is that going to be the final meeting when this happens? And then how much time do we have between the formation of that group and like Thanksgiving to possibly get something on the warrant?
We can put it on the agenda. How we structure that conversation and discussion will be something I need to think about and work with Christie in between the meetings before the agenda is posted.
Okay.
So we can absolutely put it on the agenda for May. But you know, what that looks like and forms, I think there needs to be some more thought and conversation about that.
Okay, thanks.
And it is to some degree dependent on this body and how fast we have consensus in what direction we would like to go. May get Ms. Gaskin. I feel like Mr. Glover may be coming for a comment.
I can wait. I've already spoken once.
All right.
I would like to echo what Stephen said too, in large part. It may, however, it may be helpful for such a committee to have answer a single question as opposed to a broad spectrum of issues and tackle the most salient and most pressing one. Amherst School District is out of space at the Wilkins School. Nobody disagrees with that. Mount Vernon is worried about space upcoming in their elementary school. These are the facts. So Egan has 700 students in the facilities that can educate many, many more than that. So how do we, if we're going to consider reorganizing, kind of what Dan was saying, I would be interested for his report to maybe come into this agenda item and have us see how that might connect with all three districts. And if there's space and a reason why Mount Vernon should be interested and Amherst should be interested and Sohegan should be interested, then now we've crystallized a purpose for such a committee to actually answer a question that we would all benefit from in our respective communities. That could be the catalyst to really having a mission objective, almost like a task force in many respects, to see what that would look like and lay that option on the table for all of us to consider.
Yeah, I'll just kind of sum up, what I kind of was proposing, since each district currently has a building and grounds committee, which is a little different than where we started in 2018. In 2018, Mount Vernon did not have their own kind of building committee going. Sohegan eventually got one because of the science lab recommendation that came out of the, what was it called? Sohegan 2.0 report. So now we're at a different point in that each district already has some identified paths that they're looking at. What we don't have right now is all of our districts talking with each other about those. So I wasn't necessarily thinking of, no, we need a whole new committee, but I think the committees exist and it's more like a task force. I think that's a great word, where those three committees come together and perhaps, there are some additional members or one person from this body who helps oversee that. And I know this is a bigger conversation for next month and wasn't on our agenda tonight. But that's sort of where my mind was in bringing it up, is that we do already have existing committees or forming them or in the process. And so just to have the vehicle for those three groups to coordinate their work and to talk through some of those bigger questions. And when, so that satisfies, I think Dr. Fritz makes a great point. There's some things, maintenance things that are already ongoing that we need those. We use that group very heavily in Amherst to shepherd some of that along, right? So it still gives them that place. But then if we have, I don't know if it's quarterly, I don't know if it's every other month, like, I don't know what the schedule is, that's to be determined, right? But an opportunity for those three groups to come together and really have those meaningful conversations that we haven't and that we need to.
But I don't know if this is proper or not, but I'd like to small survey all the members, because can we make like a non-binding resolution asking a question if you're leaning towards or against supporting a JFAC formation at the next meeting? Is that proper? Is one of order?
I think, I'm gonna let Mr. O'Keefe speak to it and then I have a thought.
I don't think that's necessary. I think we're gonna rely upon the superintendent to then formulate what the vision should be for this committee, come up with some ideas and then present that in a more structured format where it's warned to the community. We're receiving a memo in advance so we can sound educated when we talk about the pros and cons. And I think we'd just be better informed if we did it that way.
I think I was kind of leaning along the same, just that we allow something to come forward next month, that certainly we can. If half of you were like, absolutely not, we could continue discussion.
So I appreciate a lot of members, like the ones that spoken, support, like, tend to support a lot of the things that come out of the superintendent's reports, but I'd like to have this body lead that just by having an indication of where we're leaning. So I'm asking a point of order, like, how do I properly ask a survey of everybody? And you can feel free to abstain, but I'm also curious if anyone's a no. We've only heard positive comments. I'd like to know who's a no, so maybe we can discuss things offline with those folks. How do I make that question raised?
I mean, I guess my thought would be to respectfully ask you, could you hold it till next
I
month?
want to have a survey. How do I do it?
You make a motion.
Make a motion?
Yeah.
So
That's how you do it.
I'd like to make a motion requesting a non-binding opinion on whether you're leaning for or against formation JFAC. Is that proper?
You could just make a motion to request that the SAU board, each individual member.
You're gonna be polled.
Yeah, polls on where they stand on that. You would need a second.
So moved.
Did you get all that today? I'll second that motion for, and I'll start off by giving my opinion on it. Good, if I may. Well, the chair is responsible for all that stuff. Correct.
All right, we have a motion to take a poll of the committee, and Mr. Glover, it seems you have some discussion.
Yeah, I would just say I'm in favor of it. Now is the time to do
So
it.
the motion is actually whether or not we're gonna have a poll.
Yes. Oh,
So the
but
discussion is to whether or not to have a poll.
not to actually take the
No,
poll.
the motion is to have a poll, not whether I have one. The motion is to have.
The
a
discussion on the motion can only be about the poll, not a formation of a committee.
Right.
So this discussion is literally just, shall we or shall we not have a poll?
I'm gonna share as part of this motion, but I'm going to abstain from this vote. Because I want to make an informed decision based on the research and due diligence of our superintendent and administrative staff to present some ideas.
So I'm along the same lines as Mr. O'Keefe, because am I in favor of us talking together 100%? What that looks like, I think I need a better idea to say what I'd be in favor and what I'm not. So it's like, yeah, I think we should. So it's a nice idea to take a poll, but I'm not sure what I'm agreeing to, I guess. That makes sense.
So to clarify, you'd be, an affirmative vote would be supporting the creation of the organization. You don't have to like any part of it. You're allowed to change your mind next week and say, I don't like this part of how the organization was made, I'm against it now. And that would help us say, oh, how would we get to a yes? It's about, do you believe that we should come together and have a joint buildings committee covering anything regarding joint building issues? Or do you think that's a silly idea? That's the only thing we're asking.
I think, and I don't want to speak for Ms. Grunt, where she's coming from is that I, as your chair, have made a request. Would you allow me to talk with the superintendent on your behalf and come back with some ideas that we could then discuss with everyone having the same information and say yay or nay on an idea that's been presented and requested by a board member?
Yeah.
So you would not like that to happen?
I made the motion and seconded it, like, have a vote.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, so Ms. Grund is saying
No, I understand that.
why she would not be in favor of a poll.
I don't think that's what Greg's motion is about. I wanted to know if people were on the fence about just bringing forward any option, then there's an opportunity to communicate with each other, maybe offline or something, and call somebody up. Say, your concerns.
Yeah, please. This is what I hear you saying. What I hear Greg saying, and correct me if I'm wrong.
is that he wants to just simply go around the room and say, hey, right now, how do you feel about this? In favor of JFAC?
That's all it is.
You're not in favor of
That
JFAC,
is
just right
all it
now,
is.
just right now,
Let's
and
do it, move it.
if you don't wanna share that, all you have to do is abstain. So. I don't have,
If that's the simple thing, I
That's
think.
it. That's all it was.
Let's just move.
Yeah.
Move on.
Call the vote.
She was, I thought you were going to, but who did, Jason has called the vote.
and we can still do all that stuff with Mike. Mike can still do all that stuff for May.
Yep.
This is just a board member, this is the process he wants, so.
All right, Mr. Gupta, do you understand what we just did?
Well, the motion was was about whether we should have a poll versus having the poll is what's confusing me a little bit. If I say yes, are we then, am I just giving some feedback right now?
If you say
After-
yes, if a majority of you say yes, you would like a poll, we shall have a poll. If a majority of you say no, you would not like a poll, we will not have a poll. And that is all we are voting on, whether or not we should have a poll.
Gupta abstain. I'm unsure of what I would be supporting. I apologize.
This is gonna be complicated, scoring.
All right, are you ready for?
Just weighted,
Okay, so
We need the
just
spreadsheet.
weighted vote.
Hold on.
Give us a second.
Anticipating this.
It's amazing.
Find it.
Sorry, we were not prepared to have a
Sorry.
weighted vote,
Or even
a conversation about JFAC.
Can I ask when the poll is going to take place?
right now,
Yes, I'm in support of.
And what is that, and what are we doing with this?
You're just indicating general support.
It is.
for the formation of the-
just informative.
just go tally. Yeah, we'll just do a tally.
Tally,
Yeah.
that's fine. Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Gupta abstained.
Mr. Gould, what would you like to do?
Yes.
Wait, yes.
Fritz, yes, Mary, yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
No.
Peters does not care, so fine. Yes.
That was an interesting choice. Beam, yes.
Stroger abstain.
Run, yes. Let's just move this.
The Grand
I
also
think
does
we're,
not care.
I think we're for. it.
off, no.
Hold on.
Glover, yes.
Rogers abstained.
Amber, yes.
All right, let's have a vote.
Mr. Stokinger, would you like, he's abstained.
Yeah. No, I move to have a vote.
Okay, it has passed, so now your only options in this poll are yes or no. The yes is you think, yes, we should pursue a conversation about reestablishing a joint building and grounds committee. If you say no, you are not interested in pursuing that conversation, and that's all this is.
Right.
All right, beginning with Mr. Gupta.
No discussion. Because this would be.
No discussion for a poll. We're having a poll. We didn't vote for a discussion. We voted for a poll. We had discussion
Before we
before we
vote,
started
we
the
have a
whole poll
discussion.
thing.
We might want to persuade others of our members to vote yes or no.
This is a poll. Mr. Gupta.
Disagree.
Yeah, it's abstain.
Okay, Mr. Gould.
Yes.
Wait, yes.
Fritz, yes, Manning, yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
Keith abstained.
Peters, yes.
Beam, yes.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
If you say yes in this poll, you would like us to continue the conversation next month on an agenda item.
Stroger, yes.
Okay,
Run, yes.
Stokinger abstain.
Eckhoff abstained.
Glover, yes.
Rogers abstained.
Amber, yes.
okay, so now with the loving poll results of the board, we will continue to put this on the agenda next month and have further discussion at that time. All right, moving along to the SAU Budget Committee. I believe that I reached out to Sharon Ford and she is still interested. And do you have more that you'd like to say about the Budget Committee?
Yeah, so Stephanie was able to reach out to Dan the clerk and he's interested. He's not completely confirmed at this point. He'll
Yeah.
email us back. So with that said, what we'd like to do, we know Howard Brown is not in a position to continue on. So what we'd like is the permission of the board to charge the administration to advertise to the community for the SAU Budget Committee. We know we at least need one. So that's what we're looking for tonight.
And to clarify, this is for the community members. The boards have each individually appointed their school board member to the budget committee. And then board members yes, they're assigned, and then we will have budget committee members assigned to the SAU budget committee, SAU budget committee. Sorry. So Ways and Means, Advisory Finance, and the Operating Budget Committee will need to appoint members as well, who will be voting members.
Sure.
So my question is, since Howard Brown is not continuing, he is the only Mount Vernon representative. Are we able to advertise specifically for a Mount Vernon representative to ensure that they're participating?
Yep, that is what.
And depending on the outcome of Dan, we'll advertise depending on the
Okay.
decisions.
Thank you.
You know, George would be great.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Would you,
I move to direct the superintendent to advertise to the community for SAU Budget Committee community members.
I will second.
any discussion? Okay, Mr. Gupta,
Gupta, yes.
Yes. White, yes.
Fritz, yes. Manning, yes.
Gascoigne abstain.
Okay, yes.
Peters, yes.
Beam, yes?
Sturgeon, yes.
Run, yes.
Clover, yes.
Eckhoff, yes.
Glover, yes.
Rogers, yes.
Amber, yes.
All right, with that said, we do have one committee member willing to continue serving. Should we appoint her this evening? Good, so we will have one for sure member. Would someone make a motion to reappoint Sharon Core?
I'll move.
Mr. Fritz has moved, Mr. Well, I saw,
That's fine. Either one.
I saw Ms. Gascoigne for the second first.
Okay.
Any discussion about Ms. Core? All right, Mr. Gupta,
Gupta, yes.
White, yes.
Fritz, yes. Manning, yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
O'Keefe, yes.
Peters, yes.
Beam, yes?
Sturgeon, yes.
Run, yes.
Clover, yes.
Eckhoff, yes.
Glover, yes.
Rogers, yes.
Amber, yes.
All right, congratulations, Ms. Core. And I'm now going to turn it over to our BA, Ms. Pacey, for a financial audit RFP.
Thank you. So the contract for the audit services for the SAU, Amherst, Mount Vernon, and Souhegan school districts will expire at the end of this fiscal year. So you have in your packet a memo describing the audit policy, policy DIE, and the process that we went through for the request for proposals. So back in early March, the RFP was mailed off to audit firms who have significant experience in New Hampshire with school district audits and who have done business with our SAU. It was put out on social media and it was posted. So we received 3 proposals from one firm that is our current auditor, another that has done business with in the past, and another who had a while back done business with the SAU. So in your packet also, you'll see the audit firm history that goes through that, as well as the pricing schedules that were submitted by the 3 audit firms. I also did a comparison to what was budgeted for FY 26 because that's the budget that pays for the upcoming FY 25 audit. So based on the pricing, as well as the, it's important to rotate audit firms to maintain an independence between the auditor and the client, which is the SAU and the school districts. Based on those 2 factors, we are recommending the firm of Lodznik and Sanderson, PA, to conduct the FY 25 through FY 27 financial audits for the SAU and the 3 school districts. So I would need approval from the board to go through with that and offer that contract to them.
I will make a motion to accept the recommendation.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Stokinger and seconded by Mr. Manning. Any discussion?
What is our, oh, excuse me, Gupta, when the question when it's available.
Sorry, I didn't see your hand, Mr. Bouquet. Go ahead, Raj.
I would just like to understand our responsibility a little bit in terms of sort of qualitative versus a quantitative support of what you're doing here, Amy. What are like how should I think about being informed here? Because I can see the financials, but I'm sort of curious about your experience with each of them, how easy they are to work with, if you haven't worked with them, or so on and so forth. So I wonder if you could help me a little bit there, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have personally worked with two of the audit firms. When I first came on as VA, we had Plosnick and Sanderson. And then the last RFP was awarded to Vachon and Cloquet. I can say they both firms are extremely professional, very thorough, worked very well with the business office staff. So, you know, really and truly, I would recommend either. I think the pricing certainly with Plosnick is quite a bit less than Vachon, so that's a bonus. I think they were eager to gain our business this time around, so we appreciate that. The other firm, Melanson, I think they had worked with the SAU way back. I have no experience with them. Their pricing is significantly higher and would cause a financial strain on all four of the budgets. So I would not make that recommendation, but truly both of the other firms and they're well known throughout the school districts in New Hampshire. I'm a member of the New Hampshire School Business Official Association, NASBO, and both of these firms routinely come and address our membership and are chosen because of their professionalism and experience.
That's helpful, thank you. And I understand that cost obviously is a factor, but if it was a firm that we didn't really have a good experience with, I wouldn't want to go just with the low cost. So that's helpful, Amy. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a question, Mr. President?
Does the 4 different boards have the same vote before them over the next month? And is there follow-up question to that? Do these prices reflect like a bulk discount?
So they price them out by board or by district rather, based on the complexity of that district. So Amherst is the largest and is the most complex district. So Hegan follows, and then Auburn and SAU. But this body typically has been the one to approve the RFP to move forward, similar to there are separate engagement letters, but those are signed by me. This is similar to the transportation contract, where it would be very difficult for us to have separate audit firms for the districts. They come in at one period of time and do their field work for all of the different districts. And then if we had to deal with multiple audit firms, it would be very challenging. So which is why we come to the SAU board.
Very clear, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Amber.
Yeah, just one comment.
Yeah.
So the third firm, CBIZ,
Yeah.
their pricing is so high, maybe we shouldn't even ask them to quote.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it's gonna be until I get it, so.
Right. And maybe there's another firm to look into so that we have, because if we do want to alternate between firms.
Yeah,
We might want to get a couple other quotes.
Yeah,
just to see
I
if
can
there's
look
anything
around.
else out there that's closer.
it's a limited pool, but I certainly can make some inquiries, but when I go to meetings with my colleagues, most of us vacillate between these two firms. So I'm sure there are others out there that we could look at. But yes, it doesn't appear that they they are looking to be competitive to get this business. Yes.
So I'm just looking that in the past, it looks like we've done 2 cycles with one and 2 cycles, and I'm just wondering why we were changing from that particular, instead of going 2 cycles with Vachon. Okay, did I say that right? I mean, I'm fine with going with the lower price and that we like them both,
Yeah.
but, just curious why we would not follow that pattern.
It's really based on pricing.
Okay.
And then certainly having the added benefit of rotating again, it really is desirable to do that. To have that independence.
That's fair, thanks.
Yep.
It's not a question, but just to leave, I mean, the RFP was out publicly and 3 responses, so I don't know how, at least there was 3, that's good. There's some comparison, I don't know how much more, you know, clawing at people, which, that's not the right word,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like knocking on doors and stuff that we need, interested firms came, and here we go, I'm pretty pleased with that personally, but share the thought.
All right, are you ready for the question? Mr. Gupta?
Gupta, yes.
So Bill, you make them. Yeah,
We did,
okay.
you got it.
Yeah.
That was just discussion.
Yeah.
White, yes.
But yes.
Manny, yes.
Gascoigne, yes.
Keith, yes.
Peters, yes.
Beam, yes.
Treasurer, yes.
Brown, yes.
Stover, yes.
Eckhoff, yes.
Glover, yes.
Rogers, yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, our next agenda item, other business, is just a placeholder for any life-threatening pressing issues that have not been included on the agenda that we affirmed at the beginning of this meeting. I'm not aware of any.
Yeah, an example for this would be transportation. Let's say something today happened with transportation. A contract, a negotiation, I would talk about it here. Right, or if there was a pressing concern that, and a board member had, you know, because they had some information that thought needed to be shared here, put it here. So that, and it's consistent with the other agendas for the other 3 districts. And we are trying to, you know, create the agendas in a consistent, predictable manner, so we get, you know, accustomed to, you know, working in the same manner in each meeting. So, thank you.
And we'll move into the superintendent's report.
Yeah, so it's a lengthy report, and included based on conversation at a couple board meetings, a legislative update. And if you are, hold on here, if you notice, I just highlighted some bills that the various associations are tracking. You know, whether it's the Superintendent's Association, Principals Association, my smaller group of central superintendents, because some stuff is more relevant to us in this region of New Hampshire than others. And I just wanted to update you on those. And Stephanie can attest, there's hundreds of bills still in play, but when we go to meetings and talk, and these are the ones that come up the most. So I wanted to share that with you. We're monitoring these, as well as the conversations around minimum standards and the impact that it could have here. So I shared some thoughts with you there. This is fluid. I want to remind everyone that this is absolutely fluid. It's ever changing and it's moving very quickly and sometimes drastically. So just updates for your knowledge. And I, you know, will work with, you know, Stephanie, you know, if I have any questions or, you know, things that are unclear. But to get more clarification, but we're pretty well informed. We have people who advise me who are in the room. So we're not missing out on much. I just want to let people know.
All right,
Christie, have a comment?
yes.
I want to say, Mike, this is exactly what I was hoping for, because I'm not following all the Concord stuff very closely. I know you are, because all of your stuff you're talking about your associations, and I'm really happy to have all this. So this is really helpful to me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I felt this is the venue for it at the SAU meeting.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
And then the superintendent report, I will take some questions. I do want to highlight a few things. You know, we talked to, Amy did a litethwork around some, you know, the tariffs and the inflation that could come there. Appreciate, you know, Roger and Crystal and Brian working with us on that. Today we had, Bob Zokis in district for the first of 3 days. He went up to Mount Vernon and read with us this morning. He is a different character than Steve and myself. Bob realized it was Cowboy Day and came in full costume and read to the kids. You know, yeah.
Are there pictures for the new?
Yeah, there, I'm sure there will be. And so he is very into it. He invited him to senior leadership. he saw how we work there. He met with individuals, met with the directors today. And spent time with myself and Amy, as we talked about, so had, some time with me me and Steve at the end of the day. So that process has started. We're looking forward to it. It's first of 3 for him. Talked a little bit about, some transportation. And we are looking to bid this out in July and August, put an RFP out. Got some conversations going underway, had a meeting with Wilton and Milford. They wanted to explore the idea of being collaborative because they're in years 3 of 3. We're in years 5 of 5. Not sure where we're going to land on that, but we are looking at all kind of options. We do feel that when we do put it out to bid, and Steve and Amy were, very much part of the conversations with us, that we will have more than one bid, in response to the RFP compared to last year, or the last time it went out 5 years ago. So some more there. I did, there's some conversation around Title VI certification. And, for us, there was, do we sign it as the superintendent? And we're in compliance. So I didn't want to jeopardize any federal funding. We're in compliance. It's likened to kind of Title IX changes. In 2016, we had Title IX changes. In 2020, we had Title IX changes. And in 2024, we had Title IX changes. And so we're monitoring this. Something came out at the end of the day today. And I have to read it close. I'm not prepared to speak about it at length, but there was some movement today in the courts. And I got an email from the association, the Superintendent Association, to just kind of hold pat. They're still organizing how this could impact New Hampshire. So more to come on that. You got the legislative update. We're just going to be intentional and thoughtful as we talk about it. I put some things in there about improvements and efficiencies that we are working on. We talked about a communication tool that will be consistent through the 3 districts. And we've had lengthy conversation. This will consolidate some of the platforms that we use and the softwares that we use internally and externally, and we'll streamline that. And so that process is happening, and we will update you on that. We talked a little bit about a data warehouse as we work into utilize data a bit more. And there's an update there. We have taken a look at our supervision and evaluation software. We are going to transfer to Vector Solutions from Frontline. Frontline is not very, it's clunky. It's not user friendly. Vector is far more simple, far more easy to navigate, far more user friendly. And we feel like that is the direction to go in. And then also we did talk a little bit about some of the assessment and multi-tiered supports, and you will see a transition happening from NEWA to STAR in grades 3 through 10 as we look to improve the dependability of it and the nimbleness of it, and so we can again gather data in real time. A lot of work done by Dr. Heather Jennings and Liz Cannon around these topics and the building principles. So there will be work happening in the summer. You see the task force that we in the PD committees, assuming in the different committees that we have going. There's things happening, and we look at it. It's a critical time. We have the people in place to do the work in the building administration. We have people who are, at the SAU who are in place to navigate this. We do think this will improve our educational outcomes and improve the educational experience for students, families, and staff. And when you layer all these things together, it can be overwhelming, but there is a very detailed and comprehensive plan on who's going to lead different things and how they are going to improve the experience for us. And at the end of the day, what I tell people, this is an evolution. It's not just change for the sake of changing. It's evolving how we work to improve the experience for everybody. And I'm looking forward to it. We're not sitting here looking at systems and platforms and softwares and routines and committees and not reflecting on it. And this is a culmination of 2 years as me as superintendent in working with our administrators at the SAU and district levels to improve the experience. And And so I'm looking forward to it. It will be a heavy lift. And, but that's what we're here to do. So I just want to outline that, and take questions. And
I'll wait till the end. If
I'm all done.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So I see three software platform changes here. Is that correct? Three
Yeah,
proposals.
Yep.
And was there any exploration done to a suitable replacement for Power School?
we did not explore that system. I've sat in on a number of presentations of different, student information systems. Did not feel that we needed to do that based on the information that.
So at a previous Mount Vernon School Board meeting, I did bring up that Power School was hacked. It was insecure. It has been hacked by students. And I did make a request at a Mount Vernon School Board meeting 3 months ago to look into that. And we have 3 other software here that we're replacing, probably for this good reasons. But software transitions at a business place, they are hard, right? Switching from one platform to another is hard. And most of these are internal to your staff, right? And are there any of these student facing? I think so.
No,
Just the.
Parent Square, that communication tool.
Okay, that's probably gonna be fine. But I mean, I'm still concerned that my data, my children's data was exposed during Power School hack, and we have not chosen to even explore.
No, I didn't say we didn't explore. We didn't choose to move forward with
Okay.
the, we did look into Alma, right? That is the statewide student information system. Brought them in and had a conversation with them, brought them in, sat in on state level conversations with Alma.
Yeah.
And just because of the lift, decided this wasn't the right time to do that. Not saying that one day we may not, but we are always reflecting and looking into what we do. And so I recall, as and we were doing that. We didn't take it further for this cycle. I should clarify. You can speak to it.
So changing a student information system would halt all other professional development, all other devotion for the next 6 months. It is absolutely from every component of our work. So what we're making sure is we ensure we have as much security as we can in Power School. But I've overseen the changing of the student information system, and that would be all summer, it would be all spring and all fall. Too, because you have to import, you have to change grades historically, you have to redesign every report card, every piece of data, and we're still just barely moved at the middle school to Power Teacher Pro, and to ask them to go from Empower 1 year to Power Teacher Pro to a new model would be an extraordinary burden and halt all growth and improvement in other areas. That's a high priority.
Mr. O'Keefe?
First of all, thank you very much for the superintendent's report. There's a lot of data in there. I love reading that because it just allows us to be more, I guess you can say, aware of what you're thinking and more importantly, what you're working on. And it really is transparent to the community that you had a lot of stuff being thrown at you. So thank you for that. 2 questions specifically on the NEWA stuff. What's the timeline you're expecting for that?
This fall.
This fall.
Grades 3 through 10. We're still finalizing what the K2 assessments look like. And Liz Cannon is working with building administration in both Mount Vernon and at Clark Wilkins. We're looking to NEWA to start grades 3 through 10 beginning this fall.
Okay. Is it possible we can add, the second question is, can we add this to our next agenda at this body? Because it took me a long time to get used to NEWA, understand the fine details to it and how the tool is actually measured. So when parents come to us and say, what is this NEWA? We can at least articulate in an effective way that allows them to be informed. This is a whole new system. So if we could just get a presentation on the benefits to it, how to read the results from a parent's perspective, and just give us more of a familiarization or awareness as to why we're switching. So we can then share the story with the community.
I saw Mr. Glover and Mr. Manning will be next.
I echo what Stephen just said about the NEWA star, the why of it, and also the comparisons, kind of like Steve, your side-by-side comparison for 7th and 8th Mount Vernon here or there. Because I mean, one of the great strengths of NEWA was it was normalized data for millions of students globally. So it's a real measure of that. Maybe STAR is similar, I don't know, but that would be one question I would want to have addressed in comparing the two per platforms and understanding what Steve was saying, why are we doing what we're doing and how is it going to benefit us?
Yeah.
And the other comment on the superintendent's report on the legislative update, you included a superintendent's recommendation, which I agree with. Continuing to work collaboratively with all three boards to determine a path forward. That's because, and I agree with this, there's a lot of threats to public education at a federal level and on a state level. I believe if we do not do the best we can with the resources that we have at our disposal, existing resources, including our facilities, which is why I support a joint facilities advisory type of a program, then we're doing great damage. We need to look at what we have and maximize its efficiency and its use to withstand whatever threats are coming down the pipe. We have an opportunity to do that, and this is the year that we should do that, given where we've come from and where we need to be going and what might be coming at us very soon in the near future. So I'm glad that you recognize it. And I would take that sentiment in your recommendation as you think about how could we implement that at a facilities level with the conversation previously with the poll, and use that as a guidepost, how we might be able to move forward together on the facilities question.
Question for Mike and Steve. So the branching line software. So is this software that's used in other districts in New Hampshire? Is it considered to be best in class? Which districts are currently using it? And will it look at all academic domains, or you're going to focus in on reading and math in terms of the impact on instructional decisions with individual students, or you're going to be looking at it from a population data perspective?
Yeah, so when we explored this, beginning last summer, we started to look into, improving how we use data, right? And, so Liz, Ken and Heather, talked to a bunch of other school districts and curriculum, directors and assistant superintendent types. There's about, I would say 25 school districts that use branching minds. Varied, I don't know them off the top of my head at this point. I can get that information for you. We would use it, for a couple of purposes, right? And Steve, you can jump in. We would use it, mainly, we want to be able to get data into our teachers' hands of the students who are there in their orbit more fluidly and easily, so they can make decisions at that level. We're gonna get there, right? But first, we're going to start to roll out consistent data to each school. So they can start looking at their school data at the building level, something that we do not do very well consistently through the three districts, MD, Amherst, and South Egan. So along with this is communication on dates and times when certain data will be released, expectations of how building administration is going to use that data, right? And moving forward as they're making program decisions, tier 2, educational decisions. And then as we roll this out, because we have these other things layered in that are going to impact teachers, we're going to, be intentional about how we put this in front of teachers' eyes. But the point is to get it down to, the second grade teacher has real-time data from multiple data points at their fingertips that they can access as they are making plans for lessons and units. And then working with their students and the people that are around those students. Am I missing something?
So we have a tool called Unified Insights now that we had since my first year, which we were the first in New Hampshire, and it didn't function. And so what Branching Minds does is allows us to implement and monitor the progress monitoring component of intervention. So you will actually put in, there's an 8-week intervention model, and you put in after you periodically assess during the 8-week intervention, progress monitoring with curriculum-based measures. And right now our Unified Insights doesn't have the ability to hold that information. So we will enter just the intervention, all the standard data, all the universal profile of our students, but also the intervention data. So we can sit at a team and everybody can look, it's time after this intervention period, we can now change. And so it's easy access to the data of all aspects, micro as in progress monitoring, and macro, the entire student profile. And as Mike said, the key is we've had a lot of data here, but we haven't had it easily accessible by the practitioners or the frontline of those who use it to impact instructional decisions.
Yeah, and will you zero in on reading and math? And then use STAR as a means for assessing the effectiveness of the intervention through branching minds?
So STAR's universal screener, and then we'll use Ames Web, Tibbles, all the others that assess periodically. So yeah, and the littles, it's absolute literacy and numeracy, but we'll expand to entire academic profile, including behavior. We can also look for attendance correlated with student performance and take a look at that. One of the things that Mike has been really trying to get time and capacity for is take a look at all our attendance work, our attendance policies and practices, and really correlate how attendance impacts. If our student is really struggling and he's missed 30% of the year, but it may, that may be a factor. So we're trying to put all the data in all the same place in the hands of the practitioners. And this is the best tool that does it. The most central, I guess, up in the Kearsarge, Hanover area, was the early adopters, and it's grown. We don't know if anybody else is using what we're using now. I don't know if anybody uses Unified Insight. It's kind of a
Charter schools or anything like that, private school use?
Yeah, I'm not touching those too much. I'm just not because
Curious.
Ms. Jackoff.
Real quick, if you post for a bid for transportation in August, are you gonna get results back in time to develop the routes, and especially if it's a new provider?
That's a great question. We're thinking July.
Well, we still have the same firm for next year.
Oh,
So it's for
this
the
is
following
all
year.
year.
Yeah, it's just for the budget, it's for the next budget.
Got it. Thank you.
Sorry.
To follow up on that, school start and end times, that be factor into the RFP. Any additional comments from last night's discussion with the Amherst PTA?
Yeah, I think, Amy, you can chime in as you want here, but for us, when we put out the RFP, we are gonna design the RFP to make sure that it can meet our needs with the current start and end times. Or if those were subject to change in the 26-27 school year, we would make sure whatever RFP we put out would be able to do that. We're probably gonna ask a lot of the RFP, when we get back. We talked a little bit about asking for a universal route and also individual routes as part of the RFP to give us more information.
Yeah, it'll be really helpful to have both of those options included in the RFP, so that we can have pricing for both the school starting at different times as well as a single tier. So it's great information for us to have, to be able to have the boards have that information and possibly influence the decision going forward on that.
But Jake, to your point, it took a little while and it still impacts, but 45 minutes with elementary kids being the first route is pressing. It's tight for butlers to meet that, expectation. And we've navigated the best we could, but that would absolutely be part of the process.
Dr. Fritz.
On that point, I think it's not just the cost, but like the availability and the robustness of the system. So if there's extra buses, extra drivers, is this company gonna be at capacity at day one, or do they have best to adapt to something?
Teasing out resources.
So you're watching
will be
that too?
Very important.
Thanks.
So you mentioned neighboring towns are on a 3-year contract, and we have a 5-year contract. What's typical for us to ask going into a new contract?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Single.
Yeah,
Typically 3 years with opportunities to extend options. Those that seem to be the strongest for the owner is a base and plus owner option to extend based on circumstances. We like to give the owners more options.
That being said, our pricing for the 5th year is really competitive for us and very positive. So,
The longer the contract, the better financially for us,
yeah.
the less likely that they'll want to.
Yes.
Before we get a repeat, is there any new person?
For parents, or what modalities is that platform used to communicate with parents?
Yeah, we're looking for email and text. People can opt in, you know, how they want to be preferred. Something that's related to communication tools, you will see our communication coordinator, you know, in partnership with me, putting out some information on preferred ways to be communicated with and how often from schools and the SAU. Right now, we know we are inundating our families with information. We are inundating our families with multiple tools. And I think we can do better. And so, but yeah, we would have email, you know, individual emails, blast by, you know, schools or certain grades or certain groups, and then text.
Would that same platform be updating like buses being late? They have access to that, would be a separate one.
We would, this would be a one-stop shop for us. That's the appeal.
If I can jump in as a parent that gets Parent Square in Bedford, I get notifications through the Parent Square app as well. That's what I've chosen as my primary way. So it's all there. There's a great history of all the stuff that's been communicated by the district. So it's been very handy as a parent.
Good feedback. Now, Dr. Mr. Prince.
Thank you. Distracting. I'll get into German style titles. So back to the bus terms and conditions. We really want to put in some kind of accountability clause. If things are late, they're missing by a certain amount, we need some kind of ability to press back, maybe financial penalties, other things like that. We need to have some kind of improvement in that for our district to be more robust.
No, I agree with you with that. I think there's been nothing more stressful and frustrating to deal with as a superintendent than transportation. And I'm sure as we get into writing the RFP and then going through the RFP and evaluating it, we're going to have our expectations be met, you know. I can assure you.
Thank you all for your thoughtful comments. It was a robust report.
We don't read the Globe.
With that, I would like to move into public input 2 of 2. I see we still have one member of the public here. He's all set. Anyone online?
There is. We have one hand up.
All right, so if you would like to take part, since you have your hand up, please make certain that your full name is typed into your profile. When you're recognized, please turn on your camera and mic, state your name and town of residence.
Hi, I'm Micah Killian, live on Old Mount Vernon Road in Amherst. And this relates back to the discussion about JFAC. My understanding is that the boards have 3 roles. One is to set educational goals, to set a budget, and to set high-level policy. And that the administration has 3 roles. One is to achieve the goals that are set, to create more operational policies, and in order to achieve the goals, to establish a system of schools, program of studies, teaching strategies, textbooks, facilities, support systems, etc. And if I understand those things correctly, then wouldn't facilities fall under the administration? And if there were going to be a JFAC group, shouldn't that be a committee of the superintendent as opposed to committees of the boards?
Are you finished your comment, Mr. Killian?
I'm finished my question.
All right, thank you so much. And with. Okay, and that is being noted by the superintendent for further discussion at a later date. Thank you. At this time, I believe that we are going to head into non-public. We do have a need. Under 91A:3(2)A regarding compensation.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. O'Keefe, seconded by Mr. Manning. So many new faces here. And Mr. Gupta?
Does there have to be any discussion, or can I just
No
say,
discussion for this, it's
yep, Gupta, yes.
good, yes, okay.
Gould, yeah.
White, yeah.
Fritz, yes.
Manning, yes.
Gaskin, yes.
Keith, yes.
Peters, yes. Beam, yes.
Crozier, yes.
Run, yes.
Stover, yes.
Eckhoff, yes.
Glover, yes.
Amy do it?
Emery.
Hey, join them too.
All right, good night, May, you are
You want
free.
Amy to stay or you want Amy to